Hey brother, welcome back. Tonight we're cutting through the noise. Not with louder jokes, flashier outfits, or desperate oversharing. Instead, with 5 carefully chosen nicknames, simple words, almost whispered, that travel straight to a woman's emotional core and echo there long after you've walked away. These aren't the syrupy pet names she's already deleted from memory. They're psychological tuning forks, subtle, playful, impossible to forget. Each one serves a mission. One sparks curiosity. Another builds a private joke. The next offers an identity upgrade. The fourth injects mystery. And the last fuses you to her sense of meaning. In plain English, we'll call them trouble, heartbreaker, my favorite headache, wild card, and muse, used calmly. At the right moment, they flip a hidden switch in her mind. I feel alive around this man, and I want that feeling back. Misplace even one syllable, and you'll look like every other man fishing for validation. But delivered with calm certainty, these nicknames become the silent handshake of masculine presence and quiet intrigue. Notice what we're not doing here. We're not bowing, begging, or broadcasting falsi bravado. Stoic masculinity never chases approval. It creates gravity. These nicknames are the language of gravity. They invite, they entice, yet they never surrender frame. In the next few minutes, I'll break down each name, why it works, when to deploy it, and the exact tone that turns a passing comment into an emotional anchor. By the end, you won't need to force conversation, memorize pickup lines, or dominate the room. Your words will do something cleaner, they'll linger. So lean in, listen closely, and promise yourself one thing. Use these tools with respect, never manipulation, because the goal isn't to collect hearts, it's to forge connections that feel rare, real, and effortlessly unforgettable. Let's get started. Number 1, trouble. Brother, let me introduce you to the lightest word with the heaviest punch. Trouble. Say it once, under your breath, with a half smile and direct eye contact, and watch the air shift. You are not complimenting her looks. You are reframing her role. In that single beat, she stops being another attractive woman and becomes the spark that overturns your steady composure. She feels it, the playful polarity, the charge between two poles that can't decide whether to kiss or push away. That tension is where attraction lives. Why does it work? Because the word is soft, almost harmless, yet loaded with suggestion. It's not an insult, nor a needy compliment. It's a nudge that says, I see the mischief in you, and I'm not afraid of it. Most men either worship or withdraw. You do neither. You invite. Trouble acts like an inside joke born in the moment. No one else hears it. No one else gets it. Now she and you share a tiny secret. Humor without pressure. Intimacy without demand. From here, the conversation slips from logic into emotion. Her body language loosens. Her eyes linger. She tests you with a grin, checking whether you'll flinch. You don't. A stoic man holds frame. He can admit impact without losing balance. That paradox is irresistible. She knows, she moves you. Yet she feels safe because you are unmoved at the core, like a tree bending in wind. Never uprooted. Use this word sparingly. Twice in a night is too much. Overused. It becomes a gimmick. The thrill drains away. Authenticity is the gatekeeper. Only call her trouble when she earns the title A bold remark, a daring glance, a witty comeback that jolts you awake. Catch that flash. Name it. Let silence underline the moment. Watch her reaction, arched eyebrow, half laugh. A soft, really all signs. The hook is set. Remember, trouble is not control. It is reflection. You hold up a mirror, showing her the daring, rebellious femininity she hides from polite society. That reflection makes her feel uniquely seen. People seek the rooms where they feel most alive. If she feels alive with you, she returns. One word becomes an echo in her quiet hours. She plays it back while brushing her hair, waiting for an elevator, lying awake at 1 a.m. Trouble. She smiles, and the feeling returns. That is emotional anchoring, but anchoring fails if built on bravado. Deliver softly, grounded, as if the thought escaped your lips before you could filter it. A quick wink, then shift topics. Scarcity fuels intrigue. Notice what we are not doing. We aren't listing her features. We aren't promising the moon. We aren't chasing. We are naming energy. Women swim in compliments, but very few men name how a woman disrupts their inner calm and still remain calm. That contrast is masculine gravity. Practical guide, 1 timing. Wait for her edge. 2 tone. Low. Warm. Playful. 3 tempo. Pause after the word. Let silence flirt. 4 touch. Tap the table. Not her. 5 transition. Move on. Let her seek the next spark. Use it once. I mean it always. If she asks, "Why am I trouble?" smile and shrug. That's for me to handle. She'll laugh. But she'll also file away a new identity stamp, chaos worth keeping. Remember, Stoic masculinity isn't ice-cold distance. It's centered warmth. Trouble is the perfect word to radiate that warmth while keeping your spine straight. So the next time a woman flips your script, leans in with a rebellious glint, and you feel that jolt, don't retreat and don't gush. Hold the gaze. Let the corner of your mouth rise, and simply say, "Trouble." Then watch how a single syllable turns an ordinary moment into the beginning of a private mythology between you and her. That a quiet label for a loud chemistry is how attraction starts and memory lingers. Use it, then forget it, because the point of trouble isn't to stay on your lips, it's to stay in her mind. Master that nuance, and every room you enter feels lighter, because she's carrying the weight of the memory for you from just 1 word. Number 2, heartbreaker. Call her heartbreaker, and do it with a smile that says, "You've seen it all before." Not because you're falling for her, but because you're not. That's what makes it land. It's not a compliment. It's a recognition. You're not praising her looks. You're acknowledging her pattern. She's used to attention. She's used to men proving themselves, competing, collapsing, trying to impress. You don't. You observe. You stay grounded. That's the difference. That's what makes her pause. Heartbreaker tells her, you see the charm. You feel the pull, but you're not going anywhere. It flips the script. Where most men lean in, you lean back. You're not rejecting her. You're just not trying to win her. She's not used to that. And that's exactly why it gets under her skin. There's a power in seeing someone not worshipping, not dismissing, just seeing. A heartbreaker. It lands different when it comes from a man who doesn't flinch. It's not sarcasm, not flirty desperation. It's calm awareness. You're naming the dynamic without getting pulled into it. That energy creates contrast. She feels seen but not pedestalized. She feels admired but not pursued. And that's rare. That's emotional intelligence in its most subtle form. See, most attractive women aren't starved for compliments. They're starved for clarity. When you call her heartbreaker, you give her a mirror, a soft one. You reflect not just her beauty, but her pattern. You imply, I see what you do to men, but I won't be one of them. That message is loaded, and she hears it. Not in your words, but in your tone. Play it cool. Say it lightly. Then move on. Let her sit with it, because that curiosity will work in your favor. Why doesn't he chase me? Why doesn't he fold like the rest? Why does he smile like he knows more than he says? That's where attraction grows. Not from effort, but from posture. A Stoic man doesn't need to chase. He recognizes value without surrendering his own. That's the energy she craves but rarely encounters. Heartbreaker is your shorthand for understanding the game without playing it. It tells her, you're powerful, but I'm not afraid. And in that moment, you separate yourself from every man who ever over-complimented, over-explained, or over-invested. You don't impress, you observe. That observation makes her feel something she didn't expect: vulnerable. Not because you insulted her, but because you didn't fall. So she wonders and returns. Here's how to use it. Timing. Catch her in a moment where she's clearly aware of her power. Eye contact. A playful remark. En unexpected silence. Tone calm, slightly amused. No emotional charge. Delivery. Say it as if you're talking to yourself. Aftermath. No explanation. No questions. Move forward. Let the word breathe. Let her wonder. Because it's not the word itself that creates desire, it's the man behind it. The one who doesn't lose himself in a woman's charm, but calmly reflects it back without flinching. That's why she remembers it. Not because it flatters her, but because it leaves her wondering who you are. So, say it once. Mean it. Then keep walking. A woman may forget the men who chased her, but she'll never forget the one who saw her clearly and chose not to chase. That's the heartbreaker effect, when the man is untouchable, but his words still leave a mark. Number 3, my favorite headache. Not every connection needs to make sense. Some of the most powerful ones are built on contradiction, and that's exactly where this nickname lives. My favorite headache. It's not a sweet compliment. It's not a flirty line. It's a paradox. One that disarms her and draws her in at the same time. You're not calling her annoying. You're not worshipping her either. You're saying, you challenge me and I wouldn't trade it. She's not used to that. Most men either suppress their irritation or explode from it. But you hold it. You reshape it. You turn tension into a private game. That's the magic. Headache by itself equals frustration. Favorite by itself equals praise. But when you put them together, you get friction wrapped in affection. That contrast creates emotional texture. It speaks to the part of her that wants to be noticed, but also wants to feel like a beautiful disruption. She hears it and smiles, because suddenly, she's not just a woman. She's your kind of chaos. The kind you welcome, laugh at, hold steady with. Women crave emotional play, not emotional overload. They don't want a man who never reacts. They want one who knows how to react. This nickname tells her she stirs something in you, but not enough to shake your center. That stoic presence, you're moved, but never removed from yourself. Think about it. She teases you, rolls her eyes, throws a sarcastic jab. She's testing something, not your patience, your poise. And when you lean in, grin, and say, "You really are my favorite headache," you win. But not by overpowering. You win by staying light, centered, and a little amused. She wasn't expecting that. She expected pushback or passivity, not playful precision. You just told her 3 things at once. You get under my skin. I let you, and I enjoy it. That's emotional fluency. That's masculine subtlety. But like any powerful tool, delivery matters. Never say this during a real argument. Never, when emotions are raw. That's not emotional intelligence. That's sabotage. This nickname belongs in the space between flirtation and challenge. Use it when she's pushing buttons just to see what lights up. Use it when the energy is light, but laced with meaning. When you say it, you give her a title, not just any label, one that places her in a category of one. She's not just difficult, she's difficult in a way you enjoy. That's the difference. Now she's not trying to tone it down. She's leaning in, because you gave her a role in your emotional world without losing your boundaries. That's rare. Most men don't know how to do this. They either play it too safe or react too much. You're doing neither. You're letting the moment breathe and framing it in your favor. That frame says, "I'm not here to be controlled, but I'll welcome your chaos when it amuses me." That's what makes it so effective. She's not being dismissed. She's being honored for her edge. Not in spite of it, because of it. This creates a reward loop in her mind. Some moments she feels adored. Others, slightly resisted. Never quite sure where she stands, but always aware that your attention is real. That uncertainty, when used wisely, keeps her engaged, not in games, but in emotional depth. She wants to be understood as both a delight and a disturbance. And you, with this one phrase, offer her that identity. Now, a few rules. Use sparingly. Once per moment, never as filler. Say it slowly. Let the words hang in the air. Smile. Then go silent. Silence is what makes it sink in. Move on. Don't explain. She'll get it. And the next time she laughs too hard, says something bold, or challenges you with that look, don't react. Hold still. Then lean in with full presence and a low voice. Say, "You're my favorite headache." Then say nothing else. Let her feel it. Let her process the contradiction, because in that contradiction, she won't just feel attracted, she'll feel alive. And that feeling is what she'll come back for, again and again. Number 4, wild card. Sometimes, all it takes is one sentence to change the energy between two people. She says something unpredictable. Maybe it's a clever remark that catches you off guard. Maybe she does something bold, different, or unapologetically her. You look at her with a quiet grin and say, "You're such a wild card." That's not just a line. That's a moment, a declaration. And whether she realizes it or not, it lands somewhere deep, because what you've done without pressure, without performance, is name something she's not used to having recognized. You didn't compliment her beauty, her body, or her smile. You pointed to something deeper, her unpredictability, her spark, that little bit of chaos she carries with her, and you made it feel like a gift, not a flaw. In that moment, you give her something most men never do, the space to be different, not explained, not decode, just experienced. You're not trying to control her. You're enjoying the fact that you can't. Most men don't know how to do that. They fear the unknown. They want predictability, control, structure. But you're calm in the face of it. You lean into the mystery. And she feels that. She feels seen. Not just admired, but understood in a way that doesn't put her in a box. And here's the secret. When you name something in someone, you give them an identity to grow into. When you call her a wild card, she starts to ask herself, what makes me that way? And like that, she leans into the role, not for attention, but because the name feels true, and it came from a man who wasn't afraid of it. This is emotional psychology at its most subtle. Give a person a name that excites them, and they'll live up to it, not because you forced it, but because you unlocked something they didn't know they were allowed to be. Now the game changes. She starts to bring more of that side of herself to you. Not because she's testing you, but because you made it safe. You rewarded the fire instead of dimming it. You said, I like that you're unpredictable. And in doing so, you separated yourself from every man who tried to tame her. This nickname becomes a private signal between you, a code, a story wrapped in 2 words. And every time you say it softly, calmly, at the right moment, it reignites that spark. It becomes a mirror, not to reflect who she pretends to be, but who she is when she's free. But don't overuse it. Don't throw it out casually. Let it be rare. Let it be real. And always tie it to something specific. A surprising joke, a bold choice, a glance that throws you off just enough to smile. And when that moment comes, lean in, not with intensity, but with that cool certainty she can feel. Say it like you've seen this side of her before. Say it like you enjoy not knowing what comes next. You're such a wild card. I never know what I'm going to get with you. Then stop talking. Let her hold the silence. Let her play with the meaning. Let her feel how good it is to be seen, not solved. Because here's the truth. The wildcard nickname is more than a phrase. It's a permission slip. It says, you don't have to tone it down here. You don't have to hide your spark. You're safe to be the version of yourself that scares the average man. And once she knows that, she'll bring you that version again and again. Not to impress you, but because you made it feel like home. That's when attraction stops being about image and becomes about energy. And the man who can hold that kind of energy without trying to own it is the man she keeps coming back to, because with him, she's not just another woman. She's a mystery worth discovering, and that feeling is unforgettable. Number 5, muse. There are compliments, and then there are emotional imprints. Most men stick to the basics. You're beautiful. I love your smile. You look amazing tonight. Nice, sure, but forgettable. Why? Because surface-level compliments fade. They blend into the noise. They're common, expected, sometimes even transactional. But when you call a woman your muse, you shift the entire conversation. You don't just admire her, you elevate her. You give her a role in your story, not as someone you desire, but as someone who inspires. That one word, muse, rewrites the emotional script. You're saying, you don't just catch my eye, you awaken something in me. This hits deeper than charm, because now, she's not just seen, she's felt. She's not just attractive, she's meaningful. A muse doesn't just stand beside a man. She stirs something within him, a clarity of thought, a surge of purpose, a fire of creativity. When you look at her and say, honestly, you're kind of my muse. You're not flattering. You're confessing. You're giving her a glimpse of the influence she has on you, and doing it without losing your frame. That matters, because this isn't about simping, obsessing, or pouring your soul out for approval. No, it's about grounded vulnerability. It's about letting her know that her presence adds weight to your thoughts, your moods, your inner world. And here's the thing, women don't just want attention. They crave significance. They want to feel like they matter in your life. Not just as eye candy, not just as fun company, but as something emotionally catalytic. When you call her your muse, you offer her that rare recognition. She becomes more than a flirtation. She becomes a turning point. Psychologically, this taps into something powerful: ego investment. When a woman feels she's part of your growth, part of your personal evolution, she becomes more emotionally invested herself. It's not about giving her power. It's about showing her that she already has it, and you're strong enough to admit it. It tells her, you didn't try to change me. You didn't demand anything, but just by being who you are, you brought out more of who I am. That lands. That lingers. And more importantly, that kind of connection doesn't fade overnight. It sticks because it's rooted in truth. But let's be clear, you don't just say this to every woman. You don't use it to impress. You use it when something shifts. Maybe she said something that opened a new door in your mind. Maybe she made you laugh in a way that shook off the stress. Maybe her presence felt like clarity in the middle of a mental storm. Whatever it is, it has to be real. Forced sincerity is worse than silence. When the moment comes, say it slow. Say it steady. Say it like you mean it, because if you don't, it loses its soul. Honestly, you're kind of my muse. Then say nothing more. Let it sit. Let her feel the depth behind the words, and watch what happens next. Suddenly, she's not just replaying what you said. She's reliving how it made her feel. Valued, seen, essential. That's what stays with her. And here's the Stoic twist. You're not giving away your center. You're revealing that you're centered enough to speak from truth. You're not saying you need her. You're saying her essence brought clarity to what was already inside you. That's strength. That's power. And in a world full of empty words, a man who speaks like that, he's unforgettable. That's the gift of calling her your muse. It isn't about poetry. It's about presence. She's not just someone who walks into your life. She's someone who shifts it. The walk with her that brought peace, the moment with her that brought insight, the conversation that stayed in your mind for days. These are the sparks. That's when you say it. Because once you do, you anchor that memory. You assign emotional significance to her role in your life. And when a woman feels that her impact on you is felt not just appreciated, but transformative, that's when the bond deepens. She stops wondering if you like her. She starts wondering how she became that important. And that curiosity, it keeps her close. It makes her want to show up in your life, not out of obligation, but out of emotional meaning. So remember, most men want to be desired, but the rare man, the one who feels deeply and speaks clearly, is the man who awakens something in her, the man who doesn't just make her smile, but makes her relevant, the man who says less, but leaves her thinking more. And that's the man she'll never forget. In the end, real attraction doesn't come from chasing harder. It doesn't live in tactics, tricks, or constant effort. It lives in your ability to create space, a space where she feels seen, stirred, and safe to show up. T's 5 nicknames: Trouble, Heartbreaker, My Favorite Headache, Wild Card. Muse aren't just playful phrases. They are emotional cues. They invite her to step into a version of herself she rarely gets to explore. Not the version built for compliments, not the one shaped by filters or polite approval, but the part of her that wants to feel something real. Each nickname serves a purpose. One sparks curiosity. One builds mystery. One creates playful tension. Another celebrates unpredictability. And one reaches deep, making her feel like she matters. When spoken with calm presence and honest timing, these words become more than labels. They become emotional fingerprints. She won't remember everything you say, but she'll remember how you made her feel about herself. And when that feeling is rare, it becomes irresistible. We live in a world overflowing with flattery, but starving for depth. So when you offer depth, when your words echo in silence and paint her not just as attractive but as impactful, you become unforgettable. You stop being the man trying to impress her. You become the man who sees her, who feels her. And that kind of connection that's not forgettable, that's something she rewinds in her mind long after the conversation ends. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 nicknames feels most like your style? Have you ever used a phrase like this and noticed how it changed the vibe instantly? Or maybe you've been on the receiving end of a nickname that left a permanent mark on your memory. Drop your story in the comments below. Your insight might be exactly what another man needs today. And if this message spoke to you, if it opened a new way of thinking about attraction, emotional intelligence, and the kind of man you're becoming, support this channel. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because here, we don't settle for surface level. We don't chase to impress. We speak to the soul. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.